Hey, Southern Nevada. Whenever I'm in a bar or restaurant, I always order tap water and usually get the joke, "You mean Lake Mead's finest?" Well, did you know it's actually sourced from the Rocky Mountains? And despite its hard, mineral-rich taste, your water meets safety standards and keeps you healthy, so don't twist up hard water with its quality. It's tested 300,000 times, ensuring your tap water meets or surpasses the highest quality standards. You got a lot on your plate. SNWA is taking care of what's in your glass. So learn simple ways to enhance the taste at snwa.com. SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency. Well, it looks like Las Vegas is still standing despite that weirdo cyber attack against the state government from last month that may or may not still be going on. I don't know. So let's take advantage of the lack of ransom demands on this podcast and hit the news of the week. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by the Nevada Independent's Andrew Corrali and our own executive producer, Sonia Cho Swanson, and we're getting into a residential sex club raising eyebrows, and not just in the hubba-hubba way. A longtime county commissioner announcing he's not running for re-election after all, and Robo-Taxis have officially hit the strip. So, utopian dream or dystopian traffic nightmare? It's Friday, September 12th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Sonia and Andrew, welcome to the Friday News Roundup.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Andrew, congratulations on your new job over at the Nevada Independent. How's that working out?
Yeah, super excited. Yeah, I recently was named the opinion editor. So, I field all the opinion submissions, edit the opinion columnists, and great team, super high intellectual RPMs. I'm doing great work for journalism and, for Nevada. And very excited to be there. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're a great person for the job. Well, we like to start out the Friday News Roundup with a hot headline.
Hot headline. I think Andrew got it better.
Yeah, we try. So poor Tesla tunnels, they just aren't getting the love in the newspapers. And there's been a report that's coming out of the RJ that the Tesla tunnels, already years off schedule, are going to be shut down at their most recent site where there was, unfortunately, a crushing accident of a worker. This is coming from the Review Journal that the incident is under investigation, so all work will, in fact, be halted at that construction site. The story doesn't give a lot of details, except it looks like the worker is hopefully going to recover. He's in stable condition over at Sunrise. He was kind of emergency evac'd by the fire department out of there. OSHA is going to come in and do their workplace investigation of it as well. Interestingly, the story in the Review Journal links to our reporting here at CityCast in conjunction with Daniel Rothberg and ProPublica. But if you hit on the hyperlink, you don't go directly to our story, but to the blatantly unvetted denial by the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority saying that it was all lies. Our story was all lies, but no specifics as to what supposedly we weren't being truthy about. Obviously, this is not good news for the Boring Company, and we obviously hope for the recovery of the worker. But what do you guys think? I mean, is there any sort of issue that this project can encounter that will derail the project once and for all, or is it just now too splashy to fail and they're just going to keep moving forward?
Yeah, this definitely has a sense of that momentum behind it where it's going to take something tragically much more tragic and profound to, I think, put any brakes on the project, personally speaking. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, what's the apocryphal saying? All of our laws are written in blood.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, is that too dark?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
I mean, look, I mean, shades of city center back in the day when, there were a lot of mishaps and even deaths at that site, and some reporting by the Las Vegas Sun at the time and the reporter Ali Berzon not only resulted in change to OSHA laws, but a Pulitzer Prize for the Las Vegas Sun.
Right.
But that project still moved forward. That's the Vegas way, I guess.
With crucial changes, but yes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's get into our stories that we picked for this week. The first one is an alleged sex club in a residential neighborhood in the Northwest here in Las Vegas. Andrew, you get the honor of telling us about this one.
Yeah, and warning, this one is going to be rife with unfortunate puns, so I apologize in advance. But yes, a placid and dry suburban enclave in Northwest Las Vegas is getting moist with controversy as neighbors are up in arms over an alleged sex club operating in their neighborhood. So Hannah Fraser, a resident in this community that's near Tenaya Way and Washburn Road, she recently told KSNV News 3 that a home in their neighborhood has been hosting what seem to be these disruptive weekend swinger parties that have been operating since February. So you may say her naughty neighbors are putting the hoe in HOA.
God.
So I told you. I warned you. So yeah, Fraser and her...
There's a reason we have you here, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, so Fraser and her fellow neighbors are saying that they're blue in the face, if not the balls, with frustration because they've reached out to police, they've reached out to code enforcement, they've even reached out to their Clark County Commissioner, April Becker, for help. And Commissioner Becker apparently got back to News 3 and she said, hey, I sympathize with the neighbors, but these events are happening on private property. So these folks are just in a state of frustration.
Are we peeking into people's bedrooms here, or is there a legit concern at play?
Okay, can I just jump in real fast? I gotta say, when I first saw this story, I was like, oh boy, just the neighbor coming on up in arms. And I was like, here comes the Karen. But then as I read the story and heard her talk, I kind of realized this is a very Nevada story in some ways, because her concern, she was like, people can do whatever they want in the privacy of their own home, like go for it. But her concern was that people aren't actually apparently living there during the week. And they were basically using this as like a weekend party house. And so I was like, this feels in some ways very Nevada.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, shades of the Airbnb controversies about party houses.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll give her credit for that because, these aren't like 70s style, sex clatches where the couples drop their keys in a bowl and this, libidinous lottery. Like this is apparently this is like a commercial scale business operation that advertises heavily on social media and attracts the general public. And it's not even about the sex, according to these neighbors, right? It's there's like this garish, intense lighting that they put on in the driveway, this heavy traffic that comes and goes until 4 a.m, people possibly driving under the influence because they're serving alcohol, and this somewhat perhaps distasteful gangbang Sundays that's like a X-rated matinee that starts at 5 p.m. every week.
What?
So these folks are clearly frustrated. But it's an interesting lines are drawn there. Is like, when does just having fun in the privacy of your own home, spill over into running a swinger business, right?
Right. I'm actually surprised that there's no local government entity that can do anything about this. If there's a commercial aspect to this, they're essentially running an unlicensed business in a neighborhood, right, David?
Yeah.
Lawyer David, help us out here.
Yeah, and probably there's a workaround that they figured out where it's just kind of like it's donations, no one's required to pay money, or it's invite only to our friends, or the reporting has been a little light as far as all the information seems to be coming off of these websites, which are never linked in the stories. I mean, I get it. This is a salacious story. I'm kind of curious what the name of this swing event is, just because there could be a good pun there that I would enjoy as well.
Exactly.
But no one's gone undercover to report, I would love,
Well, what are the ethics? I gotta just say,
they do the dirty dining, where they go into the restaurants. It's like, I want to see the sex club neighborhood version of that. Like,
are you volunteering yourself, David?
I am not.
Yeah, I think he's stopped volunteering there. Yeah,
stop it.
No, we would not sanction that, unfortunately. Just pointing to that.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Sonia. I think I would take like kind of a twisted Schadenfreude and seeing the brittle suburbanites go like ultra Karen over these, imagined civic infractions. But I can sympathize with them if it's like as disruptive as they say. I think Figler said it well. It's like an unregulated party house or an Airbnb, or is it Air BDSM operating on your street?
Maybe that's their business name.
Yeah,
I mean, generally speaking, I would hope that there is no articulable harm of having sexy times on the weekends next door to you. But, we only really have one version of events. The reporting so far hasn't had anyone from who owns the house. And I guess one of the allegations is that they don't even live there on a regular basis, but just own the property and use it in this particular way. I would love to hear their version of events too, the people who are either throwing the parties or who own the property.
Yeah. But it is interesting because, I like generally, I think like this whole idea of basic block zoning where you have residential here, commercial here, right? That's created the kind of suburban hellscape that most of Vegas is. So I love the idea of like mixed use districts that, you have retail, dining, residential. So people don't have to drive 5 miles to eat or shop. This isn't a case of that, right? It should have these things should have the buy-in. Or is it the bi-curious in of residents?
Stop it. So
this is not an example of that, right? Yeah. So, they don't object to the sex part. It's the traffic. It's the noise. It's the lights.
Always.
And so,
I mean, but I just want to end on this note. Are there borderline red lines for you on what shouldn't be able to run out of your own house? I mean, obviously short of a glue rendering plant. We don't want that next door to us. But how far can we take it? Is it just because sex is happening there and, people coming and going because of that? Is that the line draw? Like if it draws people, that's the problem?
I there's a phrase, David, that you use sometimes when we talk about Airbnbs in neighborhoods, and you talk about the quiet enjoyment of one's own home.
Yes, that's a legal term.
I love that phrase. I think about that sometimes when I think about my baby, and I'm like, please give me the quiet enjoyment of my own home. Mm-hmm. Please stop crying at 3 a.m. But when I think about what that sounds like, it's like, you should be able to get a decent night's sleep. You should be able to sit in your backyard and not have glue rendering smells waft into your backyard.
Yes.
You should be able to, maybe water your plants and have your kids play in the backyard without pesticides floating over and causing harm. So, there's
or body fluids, let's be real.
Or body fluids as well. Hopefully those aren't
Don't
going
get in
that
the splash
far.
zone.
No splash zones, please. So yeah, quiet enjoyment. But again, that's a beautifully gray and vague term, which is why lawyers have jobs.
Amen. Yeah, one other thing I noticed, I did a little click through on Google Street View, and one interesting kind of like dynamic that's happening here is this neighborhood is kind of divided between those larger rural estates and then higher density single family housing. And I think that house is in kind of the rural estates area, and there generally seems to be more of a grandfathered allowance for boarding horses, having farm animals, four-wheelers, and stuff like that. So I wonder if the swinger sex club is operating under that sort of rubric,
interesting.
It might be a key to the dynamic that's going on there, but who knows?
The hottest night of the year is back. AFAN's 39th annual Black and White Party taking over Chaos Nightclub inside the Palms Casino Resort on Saturday, September 20th. This year's Wild West-themed celebration is hosted by Frederick Godinez and Alexander Stabler of the design studio Frederick Alexander, and it's your chance to experience an unforgettable night of fashion, entertainment, and community. The entertainment for the evening is stacked. Simone and Mirage from RuPaul's Drag Race, Fantasy, David Hernandez and Kyle Koo from American Idol, the cast of Piranha and Gypsy nightclubs, the Chippendales, and more. Proceeds support Aid for AIDS of Nevada's critical programs, providing housing, transportation, food, and medical case management for those living with or affected by HIV/AIDS. Visit afanlv.org to learn more and purchase your tickets today. That's afanlv.org.
Hey y'all, it's executive producer Sonia Cho Swanson here. And I was never really much of a smoothie or a meals on the go kind of person. And then I became a mom. So now between daycare drop-offs, swim classes, doctor's appointments, and working full-time, Huel Black Edition is exactly the kind of boost my morning needs. I got the Black Edition Vanilla, so yummy, and it's a complete meal with 40 grams of plant-based protein and 27 vitamins and nutrients that keep me full and ready to tackle my day. There's no added sugar, it's gluten-free, and super easy to shake up and take on the go. And hey, they just dropped something totally new. Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink, a sparkling canned beverage that comes in flavors like blueberry, apple, and peach, with 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, and just 25 calories. So try Huel with 15% off for new customers today using our code LASVEGAS at Huel.com/Las Vegas. Fuel your best performance with Huel today.
Let's move on to the second subject. Justin Jones, the powerful county commissioner for Clark County, has announced he is not seeking re-election. You know, he's been in the news a lot, not always in the most favorable ways. Sonia, what's going on with Justin Jones?
Yeah, so we've got an exclusive from Una Milliken at the Nevada Independent, your esteemed publication, Andrew. It turns out Justin Jones, after being the commissioner for District F, which is the Summerlin, Red Rock, just all along the western southern border of the urban area, after being the commissioner for District F since 2019, has decided to not run for re-election. And I've got a quote here. He says, "After weighing the rigors of another campaign and discussing with my family, I have decided not to seek re-election in 2026 and will instead work hard to elect another Democrat in District F to continue the progress that I and my colleagues have made for Southern Nevada." And of course, the rigors here refer to what would undoubtedly have come up as a pretty brutal campaign, let's be real.
The overflowing opposition binder, as is referred to in political circles.
Right. And that binder will include a large chunk of pages on a 2023 controversy, which I'll do my best to summarize it as quickly as possible. But it was a very Las Vegas, very tit-for-tat, back-scratchy situation. So back in 2018, before he was a commissioner, Jones was representing Save Red Rock, which, you know, we know is the nonprofit that tries to save Red Rock from development. And they were in a fight against high-density housing. So at that point, he apparently messaged then Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak, who was running for governor. And he was like, Jones was like, "Hey, you give me a little back scratchy, you know, support this project against the high-density housing, and then we'll drop a lawsuit against the county and support you in your race for governor." And then...
Well, he gets elected then to that very county commission.
And Red Rock does indeed drop the lawsuit. Sisolak comes out, you know, in support of their project. And then it comes to light in 2023 that in 2019, Justin Jones had deleted some text messages all related to this whole back-scratchy tit-for-tat situation.
While he was a politician, which is a no-no. While he was an elected official.
Can I jump in with a question here?
Yeah.
I guess, like, so was the backroom dealing when he was an advocate for Save Red Rock, was that illegal or just kind of icky and unsavory seeming? Or was it the deletion of what were essentially public records that was the big no-no? Because I'm sort of confused of where should I place my outrage?
I will say this, this has been sort of universally called the Rhodes Ranch scandal because Jim Rhodes was the developer who wanted to use these parcels out in Red Rock. I mean, he bought it. So, you know, I think the big scandal here really surrounded the time when he was an elected official. You're supposed to save your text messages. There was a suggestion from Rhodes that these text messages were, in fact, a violation of ethics rules and other things, and then they disappeared. Commissioner Jones was admonished by the courts that what he did was wrong. A bar complaint was raised against him as a lawyer that he wasn't meeting ethical standards. I mean, it was pretty rough for him. And ultimately, it cost the county a ton of money.
Yeah. $80 million.
Yeah. I mean, very much shades of Badlands, you know, which we've also talked a lot about on this podcast.
Totally.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me here is, and I didn't realize this before, you know, learning about this whole Rhodes Ranch scandal, is that public officials are supposed to save all records of their communication, even on their private devices. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Pretty wild.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
glad
there's
that
been
exists,
some court
though.
cases. Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. A lot of interesting stuff has come out of those text messages and those phone calls and phone records, you know, and that's public records.
Yeah.
We have the most robust public records laws in the country here in Nevada. And there's constantly an attack on them by elected officials saying, no, it's too much. We shouldn't have that much transparency. But right now, Nevada is the place to do it. So, you know, look, this is all clearly speculation, but why do you think that Justin Jones hung on so long to the idea of possible reelection after this big development / text message scandal that cost the county millions, as you said, Sonia?
Well, I mean, Justin Jones is a huge advocate for Red Rock, as we know from his previous advocacy work, and District F encompasses all the land abutting Red Rock National Conservation Area. I believe also he's also a passionate cyclist and nature enthusiast. So I think I would imagine personally this work and this region means quite a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a longtime Las Vegan. This obviously has been a passion of his prior to his election. It was part of the reason why I think he ran. He comes from a very political household. His wife was a key advisor to Kamala Harris during her run here. And she also is considered to be a mover and shaker in a lot of Dem circles. So, I think it is hard on the ego, despite the mounting pressures that are out there, to just sort of give up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I imagine also that, coming from a political household, he's also a political animal. So I think part of the weight was probably just testing the winds, and seeing what the atmosphere was like and considering the prospects.
Yeah, I'd be so curious to see what the polling is like. If they had internal polling on that, I'd be so curious to see.
And at such a high level, they usually do. I mean, some of the small races can't afford to do stuff like that. But let's, not forget, theoretically, the Clark County Commission is one of the most coveted spots because of the power and the budget. Is there any other reason why this particular district is coveted, you think? And have we heard of anyone else who's interested in this race now that Justin's out?
Oh my gosh, if you look at some of the wealthiest zip codes in Las Vegas, they land in District F. Summerlin, Southern Highlands, right? I actually think, is Rhodes Ranch in District F?
Part of it is, clearly.
Yes, well, the new oncoming developments certainly are.
The aspirational Rhodes Ranch.
The planned developments. If you look at all that, tons of new growth happening down on the southern edge of town, like around Enterprise, it's all in District F. And Spring Mountain, all of Chinatown there's a funny little carve out for District F that goes all down Spring Mountain with all that incredibly vibrant happening businesses and activity on Spring Mountain. So yeah, District F is a happening district, tons of business, tons of constituents, tons of money.
Well, we have already got an announcement from Republican Heidi Kasama that she has entered the race. And that was before Justin announced that he's not going to run for re-election. It was going to be a real showdown between a former assembly member and a theoretical rising star in the Republican Party to come into the county commission. And the big news is that House Speaker Steve Yeager has allegedly expressed an interest in this position because he did announce he's not running for re-election as an assembly member. And he was, obviously the leadership there, obviously a very prominent position. A lot of people have speculated that he has his eyeballs on the governor. And we know that at least one county commissioner has elevated to the governor's spot. So he has not officially announced. So that is still speculation. I'd imagine, though, that because it is so coveted, that there might be a lot of people.
Right. David, you've pointed this out before, but it's not often in other states in the country where somebody would kind of go down from a state level position to a county level position and consider that an upgrade. Yeah. But only in, only in Southern Nevada.
There's so much power in the county commission too. Yeah.
Right. That they would consider that a job upgrade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a springboard in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the county commission has firmly been in the hands of only Democrats for a really long time. April Becker was the first Republican to break through in a long time in that last election cycle, and now there's another one up for play without an incumbent. How does this affect everyone in the Valley, not just those in Jones District?
Well, I think you just answered the question, David, right? Which is that if a Republican comes in and takes this seat, that does change the composition of the commission as a whole, right? But I think also what happens in District F matters to all of Las Vegas. What happens at Red Rock, what happens at Chinatown, what happens at Enterprise, what happens in the fringes of the desert where we are attempting to build out further and further and further and further, right? So as we see, our city expand further and further, I mean, I would say the influence of the commissioner for District F would even only grow over time.
All right, our final topic, and this one we like to have a little fun with, but this has made international headlines as Amazon's Zoox. Zoox, not to be confused with Zook the nightclub or the dating app Zoox or Gadzooks or any other variations on a very strange word.
Old-timey, I love it.
Yeah. They have jumped firmly into the Robo-Taxi race, and right here on our own Las Vegas Strip. So these are fully autonomous vessels. They don't like to be called cars or even straight taxis because they don't even have steering wheels in them. They are built from the ground up to just transport people with robotic AI technology and hundreds of cameras everywhere, just kind of picking you up. And right now, there's a couple of dozen of these that are operational on the Strip, limited routes and limited destinations. So you could download an app on your Google phone or your Android. I have downloaded the app. Unfortunately, they don't start service till 11 a.m., so I couldn't do the test run because it just started this week.
So you haven't zooked yet?
I have not. I have not zooked up.
Is it a verb?
I have not put on my zook suit. But they are free initially. There's no reporting yet on what the prices will be. And the company responded to that inquiry by saying, well, we just got to see how it works out. Right now, you could go to places like Resorts World or New York, or Area 15.
Is it only on the Strip?
Right now, it's only on the Strip. There are some proposed maps that take you kind of in a larger swath. And it's supposed to be point to point. So you could actually put in, theoretically, your destination could be your home. My home is not in it. My home is not in the zone.
I was going to say, is there a sex club in the Northwest that is on their destination? Would that
the maps that I saw
neighbors' concerns?
Yeah, and I don't want any driver to know my personal business, So so these autonomous robo-taxis are now tooling up and down. They hold 4 passengers. Innovative, I guess. This is kind of the test market. They're also in San Francisco. But robo-taxi testing has begun for this company back in 2023, where they, were offering demo rides and gathering data. They did have an accident early on, and that kind of slowed things on, but they went back to the drawing board, as it were, and they sort of refashioned the engineering. And now, the test that is being run is, can they then go into the for-profit, charging people, expanding the footprint of how far they can go away from the Strip. But right now, it's really pretty much a novelty. Interesting, though. So what are your hot takes on our new entry into the traffic landscape, especially of Las Vegas Boulevard?
I mean, in a weird way, I feel like, in as much as it generates some interest and buzz to the Strip, which we badly need right now, that's cool, I guess. The whole idea of like these gigantic mega corporations getting into the private transportation sphere is whatever. But it would be interesting if we had like a sort of AI-ified public transportation infrastructure that could do this, but on, an industrial people moving scale. So I see some potential here and stuff, but it's, it sounds like, humanless Uber, I suppose. There's like no humans involved in this. Like there's no like human overseer then in the car.
No. Wow. Unlike the Tesla tunnels, which we also mentioned early on, there's no need for a corporeal, live, sentient, living human in the vehicle.
Outdated.
Yeah. My favorite new insult for the robots is clankers. I don't know if you've heard this before, but the clankers are taking over. But my thought is,
do you like this, Sonia? Do you like this idea of having these robo-taxis around?
I kind of do. Okay, so hear me out. My thought is that anything that can reduce the amount of drunk drivers on the road is very interesting to me.
Fair.
And I just think that at some point we should have, increase the options for people who are out there drinking or under the influence, to the point where there should be no excuse for you to get behind the wheel and drive if you're in any way under the influence. So if this becomes like, and honestly, at this point we have Ubers and so forth, so that shouldn't even be the case. But like if this becomes so widespread that it gives you that option,
even Uber
easily,
drivers are human, and they could be tempted by a giant tasty margarita.
Of course, cough margarita episode out.
Yesterday's episode.
I was just getting a picture of like Pac-Man with Ubers like eating up margaritas.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just curious what this could do for kind of road safety.
Yeah, fair point.
Well, my take is the complete Luddite knee jerk. So I'll own up to it. I don't like when they take away human jobs.
Fair enough.
And also the human experience of a taxi cab driver, especially, or a rideshare driver. But I like going old school with the taxi drivers. Always have an interesting story to tell you. Let me tell you about,
true.
or a real life, hopefully not kickback fueled recommendation based on a personal experience and not an algorithm or something programmed into the mind of the robot voice. I do like the fact that from the videos that I've seen so far, and I have not been in this carriage, that you have a emergency help button. And I just immediately my mind runs to, someone just feverishly pushing, help, help, help. There's weird shit. There's weird shit on the strip. Help, help, help. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. Help. Eject.
I mean, it raises the specter of rogue AIs sexually harassing passengers, So,
or kidnapping them or something.
But it's like there's a guy in a Batman suit who's attacking my Zook. Help, help, help.
I love your imagination.
All right, let's have a little fun with it, talking about our new robot overlords. And by the way, I'm never going to stop pronouncing it robot.
Robot. David calls them robots.
I like calling them robots, spelled R-O-B-U-T-T. They are taking over all our jobs. But the mighty, mighty culinary who, helps out all on the strip, irrespective, who they are or where they come from. If the culinary was going to organize these robots, what would their demands be?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would say they would demand guaranteed disk defragmentation breaks twice a day, plus 3 hours to update goddamn Windows.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so extended breaks for upgrades.
Yep, they're gonna demand daily Zooks cleanings. Daily Zooks cleanings.
Oh my God. I mean, because there is no one. So if someone gets a little too Vegas-y, as we like to say, and gets a little sicky icky, is there sensors? They demand that somebody from culinary housekeeping be on call.
Yeah.
And maybe it's also a housekeeping robot to come out and clean up the mess.
Yeah. Well,
that's definitely a job for a robot. Yeah.
Let me tell you, there's a new startup in San Francisco called the SF Standard, and one of their top hit articles was that people are having sex in Waymos, the driverless cars in San Francisco. It's gonna happen in Vegas.
Yeah.
So
daily Zooks cleaning, hourly Zooks cleaning.
Yeah. Black lights. I demand black lights in my Zook, or I will not transport you to the next location. There have been some glitches so far. People, these run on electricity, and sometimes the batteries are down. And there have been some reports on early testing that people have been called to a Zook that wasn't fully charged, and so they get a bad Yelp review. So I'd imagine another demand would be that they have to be fully charged all the time, and maybe there'll be drones that could come in and charge them mid-drive so that they never run out of juice.
Dang.
Like fighter jets? That's intense.
Like fighter jets.
That's very un-Luddite of you.
Yeah,
David. I guess. But I mean, if we're going to go in, we better go in all the way. Anyone out there who has had an experience with the Zook, please let us know here at CityCast. We'd be interested to hear your hot take. But don't get too excited because there's only a limited number out there. So if you call for your Zook on the app, you might be waiting a second to get to the Luxor, which I'm sure everyone wants to go to again. Well, this has been fun, y'all.
Yeah.
Sonia and Andrew, thank you so much for joining us on the Friday News Roundup. And I guess we could all share a Zook next time we see each other in person.
Absolutely.
There we go. Rideshare.
Robot party.
Before y'all go, we've got our membership program called Neighbors, which we are very fond of. A lot of perks that come with that. So we want you to go look that up over at membership.citycast.fm. And one of the perks is if you become our neighbor, you get a shout out for your favorite company or agency, or really no limit. So Sonia, you want to give a couple of neighbor shout outs that we recently received?
Yeah, I love when our neighbors shout out these local businesses and orgs. So Nancy H. loves the Las Vegas Cat Hospital, which she says is a state-of-the-art hospital designed specifically with cats in mind. Celeste W. has high praise for Imagine Communications in Henderson. She says it is run by some really creative people who do empathy-centered marketing. Shira A.
Shira,
we met her,
fan.
yes. Hey, Shira.
We met her at one of our neighbor events.
That's right. Loves the Pollo Culiacan food trucks. And here's her insider tip. She says the one at Rancho and Vegas Drive in front of the tire store is the best. And the staff there is so sweet. Great value meal for the prices.
Fantastic. Well, for you to get your own shout out, just head on over to that site, membership.citycast.fm, and you will discover firsthand what we already know, that being a neighbor for CityCast Las Vegas is a true treat. And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Muhammad. Our newsletter editor is Rob Kacheris. And our roving editor is Natalia Aldana. Our hosts are Sarah Lohman and me, David Figler. Music is by OG Moose, Sven Lindvall, courtesy of Epidemic Sound, Brent Busby, Lauren Davidson, courtesy of Triple Scoop Music, and all the Kimonos, who record the show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, hey, go tell a friend that you're sharing a Zook with. Leave us a review and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. And don't forget, you can support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. There's no requirement for there to be a flesh bag. That's horrible.
No
Sorry,
meat
I'm going to
world.
retract that.